I hope you get a lot out of this.
I say that all the time. This is a good one, but you guys know this because you listen to all of them.
You have to put stuff in your head that makes sense, and that something just might change your life and actually make a damn difference in my life.
You're going to want to pay attention to this one.
Hey everybody, David Nagel. You're going to love this episode. Hi everybody, David Nagel. I want to wish you a happy new year, and I want to give you a warning. This is a very dark topic that we're going into today. So you may want to make sure that there's no children around that can hear it until you've previewed it first. Happy New Year. It is 2021, and we are hoping that everybody had a wonderful transition from 2020 to 2021. And we're really hoping that 2021 is going to be a better place and a better world for a lot of people. And that brings me to the theme of the first podcast of the year. How can we contribute to something to make it a better world for our children? The topic of today's podcast is child sex trafficking and human trafficking. My mission on this specific podcast is not to give you a bunch of stories, but to give you more facts and figures of what I know right now. It was to my horror to find out that there are literally 30 million slaves in our world today, and 10 million of them are children. According to Tim, there are more people in slavery today than any other one time in our history, in our world's history that we know of, which I had no idea. Like this information, as the more I find out about it, the more I am both horrified at this information, and the more I am compelled from my soul to be part of helping stop it in any way that I possibly can. Here's another statistic. Child trafficking is the fastest growing criminal enterprise in the world. Human trafficking itself is a $150 billion a year industry, and the sex part of it is a $35 billion a year industry. Now, you need to think about that. 150 billion, and the sex part of the human trafficking is 35 billion. 2 million children a year are forced into the commercial sex trade. The rest of those, because remember I said there's 30 million slaves in the world today, 10 million of them are children, 2 million a year forced into the sex trade. Guess what the other 8 million are? The other 8 million turn into labor, slave labor, and organ harvesting. Okay, now you couldn't make this up. Go check it out yourself. I know these numbers might sound outrageous. You probably thinking to yourself, it can't be that big. It can't be that bad. I assure you, I have checked this out. I've done my homework on it. It absolutely is. And I know I'm a little bit late to the game here, but I just really found out how bad it actually is. I mean, I knew that it existed. I think everybody knows it exists to some degree. It's also such a dark topic that people kind of walk away from it. Like I've had conversations with a few people since I found out about it, and I get a blank look in the mirror coming back at me from these individuals. And I think that people are utterly shocked by it. I think that it strikes a horror chord inside of them. Everybody that I've talked to about this basically has children, and they can't imagine how horrific this must be. And I think there's a tendency to pull away, and that's why I want to bring light to it. Because we can't pull away. This is unbelievably atrocious what is happening in our world. Now get at this, another statistic. The US is the number one consumer of child exploitation material in the world. And we're the top 3 destination countries for trafficking. We are in the top 3 of destination countries for trafficking. That means that people come here to get kids. That also means that we provide, according to Tim, across the board, except in some parts of Asia, most of the people that are going to other countries to either buy children or buy sex with children are from the United States. I have made it part of my life's mission to remove as much of this ignorance and be part of the movement to actually stop this worldwide, and I'm going to continue to do so the very best that I can. This horrifies me. This absolutely horrifies me. I cannot imagine what it must be like, one, for a family to lose a child, two, for a child to have to go through what they're going through. Anything that a person contributes helps. It doesn't matter if you can contribute a lot or a little. I'm going to ask you to contribute. If you find that this is on your heart, that this story is as horrific to you as it is to me, if you have children, if you can relate in any way to how horrific that this would be for anybody, please go to ourrescue.org and find out how you can contribute to Tim's organization. They're making partnerships all over the world with donations and people that can donate either time or money or resources to be able to build it. And part of Underground Railroad is to get these kids into places where they can begin to heal and they begin getting education and get their needs met in a healthy way so that they can move on to some kind of a normal life. Anyway, I hope everybody has an amazing new year. I think that while this is a dark topic to start the new year off with, in my mind, it's a light topic because I think that we all need something that we can contribute to. This really touched my heart. I hope it touches yours as well.
What specifically spoke to you around Tim Ballard's Operation Underground Railroad, and what got you to bring that information to your amazing listeners today?
Well, it started off, I was listening to an audiobook. I was driving down the highway, listening to an audiobook, and all of a sudden I felt like I was in the land of Oz. The conversation in the book went from like sound financial strategy to this topic. And I'm like, what just happened here? And I'm listening to this person tell the story. And they're basically telling the story of this guy and what this guy does and how this person came to be aligned with it. And then the stories of buying children for $100. And I'm listening to this story and I felt like I started to get really emotional in the car. I was like, what is going on here? I couldn't get it out of my head at this point. So I start researching and I start watching the videos online. I start watching the videos on his website. I start watching interviews of him with other people. I immediately was like, I need to be part of this. I absolutely need to do something about this. This is one of the most horrific things that I didn't know was actually happening. I mean, it's not that I didn't know there wasn't human trafficking, and it's not like I didn't know there wasn't human sex trafficking. I did not have any idea to the extent that this actually exists on our planet in this day and age. And I'm still in the midst of being getting as educated about this as I possibly can, and working with their company to set something up so that we can be, a corporate sponsor with them. But I got to tell you, T, I mean, it is, I have 4 kids. You have 2 kids. I cannot imagine trying to go to bed at night and have one of my kids missing, and with the idea that this is what could be happening to them. I cannot imagine what it must be like for those families that are missing 2 million children. I can't imagine what it must be like for these children. I have a special passion in my heart for children. I think that to steal the innocence of children, to hurt them, to scar them, to torture them, to rape them, to enslave them, I just can't. It's unfathomable to me that this is actually happening, and so much so that it's like I immediately made a decision. I'm going to be part of trying to help stop this in whatever way I possibly can.
You did share some alarming facts about trafficking in our world, and probably the most outrageous to me, aside from the sheer number of people involved, was the number of children. You had mentioned something to the effect of 2 million children each year are forced into the sex trade specifically. Right. And I wanted to kind of approach this from a mindset perspective. How has this been able to go on for so long without people like you or I knowing about it? Is it an issue of us turning a blind eye because it's uncomfortable? Like you said, it's in the dark. Or is it more of it doesn't really affect me because I'm here and that's happening there, so it's really not a big deal? What do you think about that?
Well, So first of all, I want to just let all the listeners know I am not an authority on this in any way, shape, or form. I'm learning about it as you all are learning about it. I may be a month ahead of you, or you may be way ahead of me because I don't know who I'm talking to. So let me just say that. My understanding from listening to Tim, though, is it's not so much that we didn't know that this was happening, but we didn't know the extent of it and we didn't know how to stop it. We didn't know how to change it. And apparently there has been a problem with the topic being so dark that people are literally cautioned to stay away from it.
Before we end this particular session, is there anything else you'd like to add as we walk on out of here?
I just want to ask everybody to share this. Like if you can look at this and not run away from it, share it with people. Find some way to share it, find some way to give. If we all contribute, we can stop this. This can be stopped by awareness and dollars because there are many people that want to stop it. So we can literally put a stop to this. It's one of the few things that we have the potential to completely eradicate actually in a short period of time if we all pulled together and did something. At least that's what my understanding is right now. That's basically what Tim said. He said his mission was to stop it, not to necessarily free a certain number of people, but literally to put an end to it. We have the technology to do it. We have the manpower to do it. We have the intelligence to do it. We need the dollars and the resources to be able to fund the people, to send the countries, to be able to break down these stings to do this. The spirit of opulence and beauty come from Thomas Troward, who is an absolutely wonderful author, probably one of the best authors that has ever written on the subjects of prosperity and personal growth. I think that these two short lessons, the spirit of opulence and beauty, can literally change your life because it can change the foundation that lies within you as far as how you view the importance of opulence and beauty in your life. So here we go. Buckle up. You're about to go on a great little ride here. We're going to start off with the spirit of opulence. It is quite a mistake to suppose that we must restrict and stint ourselves in order to develop greater power or usefulness. This is to form the conception of the divine power as so limited that the best use we can make of it is by a policy of self-starvation, whether material or mental. Of course, if we believe that some form of self-starvation is necessary to our producing good work, then so long as we entertain this belief, the fact actually is so for us. In other words, we really don't need to sacrifice what we think we need to sacrifice in order to succeed. And most of our ideas about sacrifice have more to do with giving up what we really want in order to get something, to get ahead, than understanding that sacrifice literally just means giving up something of a lower nature to gain something of a higher nature. As you start to become successful, you want to live the success. Really live it, really enjoy it, really embrace it. He says, that is not where the danger lies. The danger is in not sufficiently realizing our own richness and in looking upon the externalized products of our creative power as being the true riches instead of the creative power of spirit itself. We must be opulent in our thought. Do not think money as such, for it is only one means of opulence, but think opulence. That is largely, generously, liberally. And you will find that the means of realizing this thought will flow to you from all quarters, whether as money or as 100 other things not to be reckoned in cash. Live and let live is the motto of true opulence. Man, that is just a beautiful lesson. Okay, now we're going to move on to beauty. Do we sufficiently direct our thoughts to the subject of beauty? I think not. We're too apt to regard beauty as a merely superficial thing and do not realize all that it implies. Beauty represents the most supreme living quality of thought. It is the glorious overflowing of fullness of love, which indicates the presence of infinite reserves of power behind it. You can see that the way that he's writing this, he's placing an importance on the first quality must be that we understand that beauty is a quality. Then we must begin to train ourselves to think according to the lines of beauty before we can actually experience it in our life.